an interesting thing about, one of the interesting things, I'm an old wood lover, and I actually used to go to Adam and Eve salvage yard and try to get Dade County Pine because I always wanted it. But when we did some work on this house, I had some extra wood that was on the outside, and when we looked on the rear of it, it was such beautiful cypress on the rear. It was painted old from 39 on the outside, but we used that, so we turned it around and used it to do paneling in the lower part of this wall. So that's 1939 cypress, but it looks, you know, brand new, perfect. That's when wood was real wood. It, to some people, feels dark, but I have done a lot of things to add light. I did a solar tube and other things, but you have to remember, before air conditioning in 1939, people wanted to get into the dark and the cool. And so that's why a lot of the little old houses are as dark and such a retreat from the sun. People don't realize that. I'm Claudia Willis, and I have lived in the Marina Historic District for 40 years. I've been involved in historic preservation at many levels. I've been on the Historic Preservation Board. I formed the Delray Beach Preservation Trust. I was on a city task force where I worked on Frog Alley. So I'm not just loyal to the Marina District, but I am very partial to the Marina District. This street has 10 original homes. On the very end, we had an empty lot, and so there is an infill home there. It's a Monterey style home, which is echoed to the Anchorage building that is next to it. And is appropriate for the Marina Historic District. But all of the rest of the homes are new. And yes, a lot of them have done renovations, but the streetscape proudly has stayed just great. I'm so proud of this street. I love this street. I've witnessed the beach that used to not be very crowded, that's very, very crowded. And that beach, you know, is thanks to a good woman, Sally Gleason, that left that property in perpetuity to the public. And I don't know that no other area has that, but no other area that I'm aware of in South Florida has that strip. I mean, where it's no high-rise and no private access. Yes, I've noticed that. I've noticed, well, businesses have changed and moved on, but that's just life. You know, I've noticed what people see now, all the new, the higher, the bigger. I've noticed in non-protected areas where we're not historic, like in Palm Trail, I've noticed many great homes go. Many homes by San Margaret, historic homes. A lot more hotels. We used to just have the Colony and the Seacrest. And the Seacrest was a beautiful, small, old hotel, and it itself has gone through many transformations. I remember when they first built the first Atlantic Plaza, we were so thrilled. It was one story. It had a great, big, huge ficus tree that shaded the whole middle of the shopping mall, and had great restaurants and businesses in it, little antique places and stuff. And I love that. I love that. I was very sorry to see it go. A lot of people have misconceptions about historic districts and what a burden the codes are. And I think that's totally a misnomer. Besides the financial benefits, such as the tax, 20% tax, I told you about the federal tax rebate, we do have a 10-year, any improvements that you do, you have 10 years before you're taxed on those improvements. And that's for, you don't have to be an investment property. And that transfers with the owner. So if you, for instance, own a building in a historic district, like let's say in the upper block of Old School Square, and you do $1 million renovation, you don't have to pay the taxes on the renovation portion for 10 years. Plus, there are waivers on setbacks. There's flexibility on ADA requirements, on the green building code, on parking. So when I hear people say that Atlantic Avenue is afraid of the extra burden of being in a historic zone, I say, look at the westernmost block of the proposed district, right across from Old School Square. That block has been in the historic Oshad since '88, and I don't think the tin roof people have been held back. I don't think the change from 32 East to Elizabethas seems like the codes have been too restricted. I know the Bull Bar just sold for an unbelievable just under $8 million, and I looked in the property records just before it was a district, and it sold for $180,000. So you can't say that financially it's a burden. You can't say that the codes are a burden, particularly when so many of the properties are built out lot line to lot line and have no parking. If they were to knock down their building and try to build something else, they would have to do new codes and they would have to provide parking. So they're parked out. So there really is a great benefit for Atlantic Avenue to be historic, for the owners, for the public, for the future of the life of Delray. It couldn't be more important, because it's human scale, it's our heart, it's the heart, it's what everyone loves, it's what everyone comes to see, it's what the restaurant owners have loved when they've come to see that have bought and started businesses there. So I think that fear of the unknown is just that, it's the unknown. When you really look at the facts, it would be a great thing for Atlantic Avenue.